Five Nights at Freddy's has gotten a ton of news with a bunch of FNAF movie updates, new gameplay for FNAF Help 1 and 2, and most importantly, some rumors of a new secret FNAF game releasing in the next couple years. Like the video if you end up enjoying, but let's get right into it. So first, starting quick with FNAF movie news, you may remember that the movie's runtime a while ago was reported to be around 3 hours by certain unofficial sources. However, most recently, AMC theaters and some other popular theater websites have officially listed the FNAF movie runtime, this time being around 1 hour and 50 minutes long. So apparently, even though the movie was thought to have been a few hours long, it's actually going to be just under 2, which in my opinion is actually a net benefit, since realistically the movie doesn't need 3 hours to tell its story. But in terms of movie tickets, recently movie websites, specifically Studio Movie Grill, have started claiming that the FNAF movie will put tickets up for sale on October 1st, which is something we've been wanting to know for a while now, because with how much hype there is for the movie, getting tickets in certain areas could be extremely difficult. Now granted, this only applies to the United States, and there's been no official statement on whether or not this is even legit, so it is subject to change. However, on the UK side of things, they're actually going to be getting the movie extremely early, as recently, despite the October 27th release date, many smaller countries have had the movie moved up to October 26th and even the 25th, with just a few days ago it being announced that the entire United Kingdom is slated to get the movie on the 25th, well over 2 days earlier than America with time zones considered. And while this is a huge win for UK fans, it's pretty much a big L for anybody else, because it just means the movie's gonna get spoiled all over social media, and I would definitely recommend avoiding the internet on those days, and people pirating the movie and showing it to other countries is also going to be a massive problem. In other news, recently the FNAF movie, as we talked about in other videos, was announced to have a spot in the Universal Halloween Horror Nights event held in California, and that event since has actually finally started, and you could see the original animatronics up on display there, and fans around the area have posted a ton of deep dives into the animatronic designs, and as always, they look insane. If you're into the creative process of the FNAF movie, next, it was recently announced that a whole new book titled The Art and Making of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie is now set to release next August, so just under a year, with the description reading, readers will get an inside look at the filmmaking process from animatronic designs and prototypes to behind-the-scenes photographs and storyboards with close looks at designs for costumes, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, and more. And while yes, this is just a book, I'm honestly super excited to see what the original plans for the movie were, because as we've seen with the creator Scott Cawthon, he is indecisive to say the least. Moving on from movie news, we also got ourselves one minor update on FNAF Help 1 and 2, which is that YouTuber Dawko actually got the chance to play the demo during the PAX West event held a week or so ago, and on his channel he actually showed off a ton of the game's gameplay, including the modes that were teased at the event like Bonkaban or the carousel modes, where we finally get to see how everything is going to work. Now I should mention that this is only exclusive gameplay from the demo version, and while it is all super cool, there are going to be a lot more game modes most likely to play in the final version, so expect there still to be a ton of content in the title once it releases here in December. But all that news aside, the main topic of this video that I want to focus on here is a brand new FNAF game that the developers Steelwool Studios have been apparently teasing. Because if you are active on FNAF Twitter or Steelwool's own account, you may remember that at the beginning of the year, they started posting these Guess the Sketch mini games, which are games where they have someone sketch out a character for fans to guess, with them then revealing the answer in the next couple days or so. Now, this series has been going on for months on months, with really no purpose behind it other than to stay active on Twitter, until extremely recently, that is. As on August 28th, Steelwool would post a new entry into Guess the Sketch, but unlike any other time, they would tag this post with FNAF and security breach tags, which as you could see was not in any other Guess the Sketch entry, with the specific sketch being revealed here to be a Fairchild Channel F, a couple decade old game console for some reason. And then fast forward a few days later, they would do it again in another sketch with a bunch of FNAF tags, this time showing off the character FIGARO from the show of the same title. And then finally, Steelwool would once more post a Guess the Sketch most recently, but this time things were different. It had the same suspicious FNAF tags as before, but now we were being shown a picture of one of the FNAF ghosts who have shown up around the game plenty times before, and the next day they would reveal the sketch to be the crying child, showing an oddly framed picture of the crying child, which was really weird and odd for Steelwool, especially since the original drawing was of the generic black and white crying child and not for the main one that they showed in the final version. version, although this could have just been a minor lore mistake. However, combining these 3 tweets tagged as FNAF related images, how do they connect and what could they all mean? Well, the running theory is that looking at the first image of the console, as we said, it was a photo of the Fairchild Channel F, which was an older gaming console that originally released in 1976 and more interestingly was canceled in 1983, the same year of the infamous bite of 83 at Fredbear's Family Diner. And sure, calling this out on its own is a massive stretch, but stick with me here. Looking at the second sketch, we are shown the character FIGARO Faux, and in the show has the name FIGARO Faux because his last name is short for phobia. As throughout the show, his main personality trait throughout it is that he's scared of everything around him. Another very minor but notable connection to what we see in the Fredbear's Family Diner minigames, where we literally play as a constantly scared and crying child. And furthermore, the third and final image we were given was of none other than the crying child itself, the same one who was scared of everything around them, being haunted by nightmares constantly in Fredbear's Family Diner, and the same one who eventually died from Fredbear in the bite of 83. So if we put it all together, the rumor that people have been bringing up is that this all could actually be a reference or a callback to the Fredbear Family's Diner location seen in FNAF Story, with the console representing the early 80s time period where the bite of 83 took place and when Fredbear's Family Diner was around. The scared show character references the crying child's personality being haunted and afraid of their surroundings, and finally a drawing of, well, the crying child himself, which has led people to believe that with all of these Fredbear Family Diner references, along with some references of the same location throughout Security Breach and other medias by Steelwool, speculation is that the next game in the FNAF franchise that could be coming extremely soon would be a game where for the first time ever we actually get to explore Fredbear's Family Diner, the original lost location that we up until this point never actually got to see in game. And as a theory, I honestly absolutely love this idea. It would be extremely original and would probably also clear up the confusing lore with the series as it moves more and more forward. Plus, after hearing about the Fredbear's location for years, I would love to finally actually see it. And plus, while I'm far from a lore expert, especially in the newer FNAF games, Fredbear's Family Diner is one of, if not the most prominent location for the entire story that we only ever hear about through what's left of it. And in fact, while this theory may sound crazy on the surface, it's not like the developers haven't ever alluded to this in the past. As in a video conversation with Steelwool Studios themselves last November, YouTuber FNAF actually straight up asked them if there would ever be a game about Fredbear's Family Diner, to which they said this.
A Fredbear Family Diner game is something I've been wanting since I was 15 years old.
One thing that I've always would love to do is getting back to kind of like the origin of like Fazbear Entertainment or the origin of Freddy Fazbear.
Same here. I'd like to head further back into the 70s as opposed to like doing the 90s version.
So they have currently been teasing possible references to old FNAF game locations, while also saying themselves they were wanting to explore the older origins in the game. There's actually a shocking amount of evidence for this piece. However, the real question is this theory actually true? And while, to be honest, I really don't know. A lot of these references from Steelwool here honestly line up scarily well with a new potential game idea, and all seem to point to one very specific location. Plus, it would make sense to start a new title because FNAF Security Breach is completely done, and Help 1 and 2 is done in December with no plans for anything in the future yet. But admittedly, using things like their Guess the Sketch minigame entirely unrelated from FNAF as evidence is a little bit of a stretch. However, nonetheless, the concept sounds extremely exciting, and especially since there has been a lot of hype around next year's 10-year FNAF anniversary, something like a callback to the original FNAF location that's been talked about for years would be a super cool way to celebrate. So let me know your thoughts if you think this theory is true. Subscribe, guys, and peace out.